Hi guys, welcome back to another Mirror Mums Facebook Live. Hope you're all keeping well and looking forward to Christmas. Today we are joined by Chris McFadden, who is also known as the Daddy Sleep Consultant. Hi Chris.
Hi Courtney, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I thought I'd put my Christmas tree in the background as
No,
well.
it's very festive. I'm on the other side, so you can't see mine, sadly. But, I can see it. So shall we start by just getting you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and tell everyone what you do, and also kind of maybe explain kind of sleep training and how that works.
Absolutely. So I'm a qualified baby and toddler sleep consultant. I'm based in Kent in the southeast of England. I was brought up in Glasgow with Irish family. I've been a sleep consultant for coming up for 3 years now, since my eldest child, who's now 3 and a bit, or nearly 3.5, was a terrible sleeper, and I got a sleep consultant to help us, and it was life changing. So I decided to retrain, set up the business, and help other families in the same way that sleep consultant helped us. Sleep training sometimes isn't always got the positive connotations around it, but it does mean kind of different things and different things for different families. But generally, it's about helping babies learn to be able to settle themselves off to sleep. Just like as adults, we'll go into bed. We may read a book for 10 minutes or read our iPad or a phone. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. But obviously, it's not supposed to be. But we do our things to get ourselves off to sleep. We'll generally turn the light off, roll on our side, and go to sleep. And for babies, they can't maybe turn the light off, but they can lie in their cot and they can go to sleep themselves. But many don't. They need support to do that, whether that's feeding to sleep, whether that's cuddled to sleep, whether that's rocked to sleep, whether that's patted to sleep, whether that's co-sleeping. Again, some parents like to co-sleep, and that's absolutely fine. But parents sometimes use co-sleeping as an alternative to actually, maybe they don't want to do that, but they have to do that to survive. So sleep training is about helping a baby learn to be able to do that, be able to settle themselves off to sleep, ultimately independently in the cot themselves. And if they can do that, then they can start to do that throughout the night as well. They're not needing that help, which means that they may wake if they're hungry, or they may wake if they're not feeling well, if their teething's really bad, but generally they should be able to get themselves back off to sleep each time they wake during the night. So that's sleep training. I don't do that from until 5 months, because younger than that, they're too young. They're too young. It's all about just setting foundations for sleep, getting the right things in place to help newborns understand the difference between day and night, setting bedtime routines, getting daytime routines in place. But kind of 5-6 months onwards, babies can get help to settle off to sleep independently, and that's what I try and do with families.
So you're helping children over 5 months?
Yeah, I help children under 5 months as well, but generally it's not about sleep training. It's about setting what I call the strategies to get the right foundations for sleep in place. So as I say, day and night, creating the right routines, creating the right schedules, so that they can start to sleep longer stretches to help parents. I don't think many parents expect their babies to be sleeping through in under 6 months. But it's all about getting those right foundations in place so that they're doing the right things. If they can sleep independently, great. But if not, just making sure that they can sleep longer stretches without that constant support all night, which is what really us parents struggle with. That sleep deprivation is pretty tough going.
I can imagine. But you also mentioned in a previous conversation I've had with you that there are some things you can do before your child is even born. Can we talk about that for a bit? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's more about getting, not so much in terms of before they're born, in terms of doing anything, but you can get things set up in place for when they do arrive. So I've got 2 children already, 2 boys, but I've got a third one due in exactly 4 weeks today. I'm sure it won't be exactly 4 weeks today that he arrives, but he's due on the 27th of December. And the things that we'll be thinking about is making sure the environment's set up, the sleep environment set up. He's got the right cot for him. We have a cot in place for him. We'll have the room blackout as possible. That helps not only with night sleep, but day sleep, maybe a little bit further down the line. We'll have the Moses basket for during the day. So when he's stopped feeding and he's sleeping, that yes, we'll have times where he absolutely sleeps on me and my wife, because it's amazing and it's the most wonderful thing you can ever imagine. But there's times in the day that we will need to put him down, so that we can spend time with our toddler, we can make ourselves a cup of tea, we can feed our toddlers. And that also helps a little bit of independent sleep, because they're not always used to being on you every second of the day. And as I say, with a first child, that's easier. But when you've got 2 or 3 children, it's not so feasible to have them on you all the time. Although lots of parents do use slings, it's probably not something we use. We'll get a bedtime routine in place quite quickly as well. That's one of the things that we always recommend. The bedtime routine is what helps babies really understand what's coming next. You can't tell a baby what's happening next. They don't understand. So you have to show them. And if you show them the same thing every single night, or nearly every single night, then that really helps them feel safe and secure, because they know what's coming next. And it gets them to understand that what that bedtime routine is leading into is nighttime, which is boring, which is functional feeding, which is about long periods of sleep, hopefully, rather than the daytime, which is all full of energy and stimulation. And not only then are you creating that bedtime routine that leads into nighttime, you're also creating a kind of splitting the day and night into. You've got that daytime, which is full of light, full of energy, full of stimulation, and then you've got the nighttime. And that bedtime routine really helps kind of separate the two. And that's where we struggle with babies, or babies struggle when they're first born. They don't understand the difference between day and night. So what happens is they come out and they often sleep. Well, they're always sleeping really, but they don't have any concept of day and night. So that means that the quicker we can show and help a baby get into that day and night rhythm, the quicker they will start to sleep longer stretches of period in the night. But that shouldn't something we shouldn't expect from our babies until kind of 2 or 3 months into their life.
I'm going to just take 1 second to say that anyone watching, if you have any questions about your child, any sleep issues, please feel free to drop us a question down in the comments as we're chatting, and to get back to it. So you mentioned obviously starting at 5 to 6 months. Is that a key stage? Are there kind of, key stages to start with sleep training? If you've missed the kind of earlier stages, can you still go in while you're is there an age where it's kind of too late? What's good for parents?
No. I work with toddlers up to 4 years old, really kind of preschool. Actually working with a 6-year-old at the moment, but generally it's working with kind of preschoolers. But it's never too late. I work with many 3.5, 4-year-olds. It's different when they're babies. It's a little bit different. It's more about showing them consistency and routine, and kind of getting them kind of into the good habits and the good sleeping habits through the day and at night. Toddlers, it's a little bit different. Toddlers like control. As any parent will testify to, they like to tell us what to do. They like to tell us what they're going to do. And we have to fulfill that need that they have. But we also have to make sure that we are controlling things as parents as well, of where they sleep, when they sleep, how they sleep. Often as parents, we kind of get led down a path by our toddlers, which leads to negotiation. And ultimately they get what they want, because as parents, life is challenging as it is. And we tend to take the easy option, which isn't always the best option, and leads to patterns and habits we don't necessarily want. But there's no kind of, it's too late. Absolutely not. 6 months upwards, or 5-6 months is can be a little bit emotionally more challenging for parents to sleep train, but it's certainly easier. As they get to 8, 9, 10 months, you're getting to a baby who's a lot more social aware. They have a bit more separation anxiety. But it's all resolvable. It absolutely is. It really should be about when parents are ready. Some parents are ready when their babies are 5 months. Some parents aren't ready and are never ready. Some parents kind of have a wall at 3 years and think this shouldn't be happening at 3 years old. We've had 3 years of no sleep. We can't continue on, and then reach out for help. So it's really about when parents are ready, rather than when the baby's ready, because it's the parents that are feeling it. So it should really be when they're ready, rather than the baby's ready. But that can happen as I said, any time from 5 months upwards.
Great. And what would you say are your top tips for parents who maybe have really struggling with their kids going to bed, sleeping, like babies? What are your top, so aside from obviously all of the stuff that they could learn on your courses that you offer, what would be your top tips for parents?
A couple of things. One is lots of parents think that babies that don't sleep well during the day or don't have much sleep during the day will sleep better at night, because they think, well, if they're not sleeping well in the day, they must be really tired at night and they'll sleep better. And that's really not the case. Sleep literally breeds sleep. The more that babies sleep, the less overtired they become, and the less overtired they are, the more that they'll sleep better at night. They'll settle to sleep better at night, and they'll sleep better through at night. And that's really, really important. So getting the right daytime routine in when the baby's ready is really important. So a 5 or 6 month old baby should really only be able to stay awake for a maximum of 2 hours in the day. Whereas maybe a 9 month old or a 10 month old, it might be closer to 3 hours. So getting that right window between naps or waking in the morning and the first nap. To be clear, I don't want my parents to get so kind of obsessed with these waking periods, because I think a lot of parents can find it stressful. But having a good idea of when your baby should be going for the next nap should allow you to then start to build a routine, which I think is really important. The other thing is, and it's maybe not so much the easy thing to resolve, and that's obviously why you have sleep consultants, but if a baby is being helped to sleep at the start of the night, then they're going to need help to get back to sleep, because they will wake up. Baby sleeping cycles are 45 minutes, roughly, give or take a few minutes. And if they're being helped to sleep, whether that's kind of falling asleep on a breastfeed or a bottle, or being rocked to sleep or patted to sleep, they're falling asleep with that process. And then they suddenly wake up and they're caught maybe 45 minutes or an hour or just over 2 hours later, and they don't really know what's happened and how they've got there, and they don't know how to then get back to sleep. And they'll be looking for the exact same process to happen as what happened at bedtime. So to try and change that, you need to try and help the baby get to sleep themselves a little bit easier, because if they can do it themselves, then when they wake up in the night, they'll be able to go back to sleep themselves a little bit easier. Now, I know that's conceptually sounds so simple, and it's not, but it's really important for parents to understand that, because lots of parents reach out to me and can't understand why their baby's not sleeping well. And then when I find out that they've been maybe fed to sleep, or they've been rocked to sleep or patted to sleep, then again, the baby needs that same support during the night. If they can't do it at bedtime, they're not going to be able to do it during the night. So conceptually, that's one of my kind of most important tips, and helping parents understand that.
That's great. I'm sure that will help plenty of parents watching. And I'm aware that we are slowly ticking towards the end of our session. But as we discussed Christmas trees and Christmas earlier, do you have any advice for, I'm sure this applies more to toddlers than babies, kind of, children being excitable in the run up to Christmas and not wanting to go to bed and struggling to get them to sleep during kind of big exciting events like Christmas?
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to come across as a Scrooge or a fun sponge. It's really about just enjoying it as much as you can. In the lead up to Christmas, you'll be doing lots and lots of daytime festivities and activities, and it'll be great fun. And there might be the days that a little bit of sleep is sacrificed, especially if the toddler is still having a nap. And certainly if the toddler is having a nap or not having a nap. So if a toddler's having a nap and they miss it one day or a couple of days, or a toddler that's not having a nap, it's sometimes important to just put them to bed a little bit earlier that night if you've had a really busy day and you can start to see that they're getting overtired. And how you can see that is through getting silly, getting a bit naughty, a little bit cranky, their emotions are a little bit over the place. So put them to bed a little bit earlier. But also if you have a consecutive number of days where they're like this, then it might be just take a day, reset, stay in the house a little bit more, maybe put on a Christmas movie if you want to be all festive, and just have a bit of quiet time and relax, and try to maybe make sure that if they're having a nap, it's in their cot, and just reset and still enjoy it. In the kind of over the Christmas period itself, have a think about sugar. Obviously, it makes us all a little bit hyper. Think about sugar intake and the time of the day that you give that sugar, maybe not directly before a nap, or kind of maybe pre-dinner time rather than post-dinner time as you lead into bedtime. The other thing is, and the one kind of final thing I would say is Christmas Eve. It is so easy for parents to think that I would absolutely recommend getting your child out for some physical activity during the day on Christmas Eve, weather dependent, to try and kind of tire them out. But if their child is having a nap or has a couple of naps, try not to reduce them. A lot of parents do think, well, maybe give a little bit of less sleep during the day, they'll go down to sleep easier. Just like I mentioned earlier, that's not the case. That will lead to overtiredness, which will lead to much more of a difficult bedtime. Throw in the excitement of everything, and it will be quite painful, and you could end up leading to some night waking. So really try to stick to your routine as much as possible on Christmas Eve, and just enjoy things. But you'll enjoy it a little bit more if the sleep happens as intended. So really stick to the routine, and just use certain days to get yourself reset and back on track if you do have some busy periods.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. We're just going to wrap up, but before we do, if anyone is kind of in need of any help with their kids and sleep, Chris offers lots of courses on his website. I'm sure he can quickly tell you a little bit. He's got some promotions running at the moment. He can help
Absolutely.
whatever you need.
Absolutely. So I do one-to-one programs, which are more working directly with me. I also have online courses, which are through the website. They are priced at £39 or €45 on the Irish site, but I'm currently doing a 20% discount off that will take it down to €36 or £31.20, something like that, I think it is. And that is available until 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So check my website out, and you'll be able to make the most of that Christmas discount if you want to get your baby sleeping ahead of Christmas time.
The link, in case anyone's wondering, is down below in the comments, so you can find it there. Thank you for joining us, Chris, and thank you to everyone watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, if you have any ideas for who you'd like to see on our next Facebook Live, please let us know in the comments or drop us a message. We would love to hear from you. Thanks.